This is the 4F, a north-south running non-BRT line that goes from Pinang Ranti to Pulau Gadung. In doing so, it connects corridors 2, 4, 9, 11, and the KRL Cikarang line. The point is, East Jakarta has a single circumferential line that connects everything up. How about West Jakarta? Yeah, no. This is Puri, the southern terminus of the 3E and Jak 50. This place contains a bunch of office buildings and apartments, a hospital, 3 shopping malls, and the West Jakarta's mayor's office. Surrounding this mini CBD are loads of houses. South of Puri is Maruya. It has some mid-sized commercial buildings and is the terminus of the 1M. There is nothing bridging these two. Those from Maruya and surrounding areas will need to walk well over a kilometer to Lipo Mall Puri. Following the Jakarta Merah Toll Road East, you have Tol Kebun Jeruk bus stop, a place where regional bus lines like the S11, T11, T12, AC34, and many more stop to board passengers. Above the highway is Panjang Road, which is also where Corridor 8 buses run. This whole area is full of offices, most notably the MNC studios. Right next to it is a modern art museum. The walk from the highway to Corridor 8's bus shelters is 400 to 500 meters, and the sidewalks is getting Serpong levels of bad. Also, the highway bus stops, despite being a very well-used stop, has no weather protection. There's also no direct bus from Puri to this transit interchange. Getting from Puri to Kebonjeruk involves either walking several kilometers to Meruya before then taking the Jak 30 angkot or taking the 3E, 3, and 8, aka 3 times the distance. This layout has basically condemned transit from being an option for people who live in Tangerang but work in the Puri-Meruya area. Your options are either A, taking an angkot or tayo bus to the Tangerang line, ride it all the way to Rawabuaya, then take the Jak 50 to Puri, or B, take either the S11, S13, T11 or T12 to Kebonjeruk, then somehow backtrack to Puri, either via motorcycle taxi or the Jak 30, which goes to Meruya. Now, let's talk about PIC. Even though it is in North Jakarta, but it is part of the problem. PIC only has buses going to Central Jakarta. Yes, Kota is technically in West Jakarta, but when I say West Jakarta, I mean places like Kembangan, Cengkareng, Kalideres, and Kebonjeruk. There is no bus from West Jakarta that goes to PIC. Well, technically there is, but you will see later how ineffective this route is. This is a problem because PIC has a lot of office buildings, malls, and tourist destinations. Not to mention that both PIC, Rawabuaya, and Puri are full of houses. This layout ruins any chances of making transit competitive with driving for those who live in West Jakarta and work in PIC, and vice versa. Your options for getting between those two areas involves going all the way to Grogol, Penjaringan, and then take the 1A to PIC, or take the 3E, Jak 52, and the 1A. This route is unnecessarily convoluted and has too many transfers, again condemning transit from being a good option. Now let's talk about the love-hate relationship that Corridor 8 has with the Tangerang line. I say this because that BRT line crosses the Tangerang line at grade twice. The problem here is that the Tangerang line is infrequent and overloaded. This single rail line connects Tangerang, which has 2 million people, and Jakarta, which has 10 million. This line has off-peak frequencies every half hour, and because of that, trains remain uncomfortably full even off-peak. Plus, waiting 30 minutes is a good way to get people to stop using transit. If we increase this line's frequency, those two level crossings will get even more congested and mess up the frequency of Corridor 8, a line already suffering from a severe case of bus bungingitis. I once waited 15 minutes for Corridor 8. A friend of mine once waited 40 minutes. Overall, it's kind of a mess. Corridor 3 does not suffer from these two level crossings because it gets to use Pasing flyover. Off-peak it's great, it kind of feels like Corridor 13. But during rush hour, this may be one of the worst congested roads in Jakarta. There is one more place I want to talk about, and that is the road that goes from Green Sedayu Mall through Citra Garden City 6, Ciputra Hospital, passing by Citra 8 Lake, and ending in Citra Garden City 8 roundabout. There is no transit in this road, according to Google Maps. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I've never been there. Just noticed the lack of bus stops there when scrolling through Google Maps. I did found a schedule online on the local shuttle bus network, but with only 6 to 7 departures a day on each line, and the fact that it's from 2019, yeah, the prospects aren't looking good. It either doesn't exist, and if it does exist, it's not very useful. Now, what line should run there? More in the next section. So, as someone who frequently goes to West Jakarta, I have some recommendations on what can be done to make West Jakarta's transit better. First, either extend the 1M to Puri Indah or the Jak 50 to Meruya. The point is that buses must cross Kembangan Karet Bridge. There should also be new highway side bus stops in Puri that are linked via sky bridges. You can even connect it directly to Lipo Mall Puri. These new bus stops would serve the T11, T12, S11, S13, and any regional bus lines that chooses to do so. Now, this will make those lines a bit slower, but considering that Puri is a mini CBD at this point with multiple major trip generators, I think it's worth it. A new microtrans line should also be made connecting Puri with the highway bus stop in Kebun in Corridor 8. This line should go via Jalan Puri Indah Raya and replace the C03 angkot that was shortened some time ago according to Google Maps. As I mentioned in the video where I visited Kias, a new line should be made connecting Puri with Peak. The southern half of the line is exactly the same as the 3E, just that after boarding passengers in Rawabuaya, it turns around and enters the highway all the way to Pantai Maju. For the trip back, it also enters the highway, exits near Ciplas Klender, making a U-turn before then serving Jembatan Baru, before then following the 3E all the way back to Puri Indah. Alternative routes like Kalideres Peak and Grogol Peak via Corridor 3 should also be considered. Now, speaking of Kebun Jeruk, if the bridge that connects Jalan Panjang is strong enough to also support a new BRT shelter, build it, and connect it via sky bridges to the highway bus stops on both sides. These two bus stops should also get rebuilt and become proper bus shelters with tap-in machines and weather protection, sort of like a low-floor version of the bus shelter in Palmera. Now, for the mess that involves Corridor 8, the Tangerang Line and Pasing Flyover, honestly, I have no easy fixes for this. My only idea is to make a new flyover from Kedoya Shelter and connect it with the Pasing Flyover. The intersection should have a wide turning radius so that pendy buses can actually use it. Of course, this will make congestion in Pasing Flyover even worse, so here's a hot take. Make the whole Pasing Flyover a BRT line. Only Transjakarta buses can use the Pasing Flyover and its extension to Kedoya. So you can go decide in the comments sections if you prefer leaving it as it is, or my idea, or if you have a better idea because I'm not a civil engineer or urban planner, just a YouTuber with too much free time. Of course, if that actually gets built, demand on those two corridors will probably skyrocket, so best to run even more buses there and maybe start running the Tangerang line every 10 minutes off peak. For the stretch of road between Citra 8 Roundabout and Green's Dayu Mall, I have two recommendations on lines that can be run there. First is a bus from Citra 8 all the way to ideally Tanjung Duren because that place has a lot of malls and offices, but at the bare minimum, it should connect it with Corridor 3. So that would be Jembatan Baru. Jembatan Baru is also a big BRT shelter, so it has enough space to contain the extra passengers from this line. Something that Tanjung Duren probably can't. The second line is a Royal Trans or JR connection line from Citra 8 all the way to either Block M or Kuningan via the highway. Tanjung Duren BRT shelter should probably get a rework. Most importantly, it needs to be 2 to 3 times its current size. All the tiny shelters of Corridor 9 that have not been rebuilt should be worked on at some point, but I point to Tanjung Duren specifically because it has to deal with 3 malls, 2 of them being absolutely massive, multiple offices and apartment blocks, a hotel, and did I mention the whole area is surrounded by houses. Last is to look at history. The Kopaja 16 line could be revived as a mini trans line, although there is a chance it won't go further than Meruya due to the potential conflict with Ciledug angkots. Most of these, apart from fixing the whole mess in Pasing, can be done in a couple of months, with enough will and funding. There's also the planned Corridor 18 that goes from Pluit to Puri Kembangan via Peak, but we have no idea when that's going to be built, so I have given all these suggestions in the meantime while waiting for Corridor 18 and MRT Phase 3.